The next item is public hearing item number 6, 132 Kane Street and 6 through 8 Cheever Place in the Cobble Hill Historic District, docket number 15-8556, block 321, lot 40. And this is a row house built circa 1850 and a neo-Grec style residence built in the mid-19th century. And this is an application for a certificate of appropriateness to replace storefronts.
Good morning. Oh, I think this one switched. Good morning, Commissioners. Rebecca Salgado, Preservation Department staff. Subject properties are 2 adjacent buildings that share the same tax lot. 132 Kane Street is at the southwest corner of Kane Street and Cheever Place, and 6 to 8 Cheever Place is on the west side of the street. Here's the historic tax photos of the building. This is 6 to 8 Cheever Place and 132 Kane Street, and you can just see a bit of 6 to 8 Cheever Place here. Here's current photos of the buildings, 6 to 8 Cheever Place, 132 Kane Street. The applicants propose to make alterations to both historic storefronts at these 2 buildings. Here are some detail photos of the historic storefronts. This is 132 Kane Street. It's a metal-clad wood storefront. And 6 to 8 Cheever Place is a carved wood storefront. So at 132 Kane Street, the applicant proposes to replace the existing storefront with a brick bulkhead with a new painted mahogany storefront with a paneled wood bulkhead to match that found in the historic tax photo. So this is the existing bulkhead and proposed. The new storefront will have wood framing that matches the configuration but not the details of the historic storefront. The applicant also proposes to replace the wood cornice, decorative wood pilaster, and residential entry doors with new wood elements to match the existing. The Commission previously approved to replace the historic entrance door with a fixed display window set back several inches from the rest of the storefront. The applicant would like to maintain that approval but put a paneled wood bulkhead beneath the new fixed window rather than the brick. At 6 to 8 Cheever Place, the applicant proposes to replace this non-historic wood storefront entrance door with a fixed display window, seen here, with a paneled wood bulkhead to match the surrounding historic paneled wood bulkheads. This new fixed display window would be in the same plane as the historic entrance door. And then at both storefronts, the applicant proposes to install a privacy film on the inside face of the display windows, leaving the transoms clear glass to support the new use of these storefronts as residential spaces. Carol Santana is here to further explain the proposal to you.
Hello everyone. I'm here on behalf of the owners, Dixon Projects, and as you can see here, we're restoring the storefront on the Kane side to the pre-existing wood paneling for the base of the storefront. As noticed here, the Kane side is in far worse condition than 6A Cheever. Therefore, we're proposing more invasive work to a certain degree on the Kane side rather than Cheever and Cheever. We're proposing about 80% restoration with a few modifications in order to retrofit the storefront to meet the 1-inch insulated glass as demonstrated on this model here. For energy efficiency and just for better cost efficiency. The existing conditions on the Kane side it's deteriorated. It's aluminum cladding on existing wood, which is no longer fabricated anymore. We're proposing mahogany storefront. We've taken great measure in taking the details for the existing storefront and trying to replicate it as much as possible. To a certain degree, you have to retrofit the 1-inch insulated glass with a thicker mullion. Therefore, these corner mullions are going to be far thicker than what's existing as demonstrated
Let me see that.
on this plan. This is what we're proposing on the bottom plan, whereas the existing on the top left corner, which has a single pane glazing panel. And if I should go back here, the portion that's actually being infilled would still have a 4-inch recess. Therefore, that corner mullion is also going to be partially thicker than what's existing. As noticed in this section, we've taken great care in replacing or proposing the dikes to actually meet what's existing now, but replicating it in far better condition than the wood paneling for the base or the bulkhead of the storefront. And these are just our assessment with the existing conditions, what we're proposing, and in general, the roof membrane, the flashing has to be replaced. The cornice on the side has to be capped, and a few other modifications in Northwest to actually make this better condition than what it is now. On the Cheever side, the work is not as extensive as on the Kane Street side. On Cheever, we are proposing to replace the sill and the frame, the transom bar, in order to retrofit it for the 1-inch insulated glass. The existing entry door, we're going to try to restore it as much as possible. The cornice for the Cheever side, we're going to scrape and paint and cap on the sides, but we're going to pretty much preserve what's existing. The Kane side, however, it's a bit more extensive work. And this is Cheever again. Privacy film on the inside, clear transom above, and the transom bar would also have to be replaced for the glass. And that is this section of the cornice. The cornice, again, will be maintained, will be preserved for Cheever side. And just the overall conclusion for the work. I have here with us Martin, who's our storefront fabricator, who's taken great care in all the details in our best to kind of reproduce it as much as possible. But to a certain degree, modern day dikes would limit us. Some of the details that's existing, that's pre-existing, what we're producing, there's a certain limitation, and Martin would be able to kind of elaborate a little bit more on the means and methods for that. But that is pretty much the extent of the work.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, Michael?
You show, in K210, you show privacy film on the lower light of that window. What's the extent of the privacy film? Is it wrapping around and coming across the other storefront as well?
It is, yes. Let me explain. We're actually changing the use of these storefronts to residential. So what used to be a storefront will now be someone's living room. So for privacy purposes, we are showing the privacy film, which is removable. It's going to be on the inside panel, and it'll be clear transom above.
And it's on both storefronts, or just, okay, on
That is
both?
correct, yes.
Okay. Are there other questions?
Yes, just,
Yes.
so the door on Kane Street is new, and the door on the other street is
The
Cleaver
door on
is
Cheever
existing.
side, we're
Cheever
going
is
to preserve it, correct. We're going to try to restore it as possible.
Okay, when you say try to restore, you are restoring it.
Restoring
you
it, yes.
just are saying.
And Martin, again, would be able to explain the process. The wood itself, it's hard to kind of assess whether or not the wood has been, the inside of those panel doors are worth salvaging, but we are going to be preserving it for the most part, yes.
Yeah, we will do our best to, if the integrity that is existing in the material, we'll preserve it, we'll patch it, to paint.
If you can just stand up and say your name for the record as well.
Martin Tomzik.
Yes.
So basically, the Chain Street project, we're going to preserve as much as we can. strip the paint, patch any fillings, and sand it down. There are a number of elements that are rotted, that are decaying. The door is in a pretty good condition. What we want to do is just take it apart and then just strip it down. And then if it requires any filling of with wood, then we'll substantiate that. Unless it's completely rotted, then it would need replacing, but we don't feel that that's the case.
And I have one other
Any other
question.
questions?
So what were you showing down there? What are those, what are those window samples? What are those?
Window
The frames.
sample. Oh, sorry, these are models.
I couldn't actually see them.
What we're
Can you-
proposing, thank you. This is mahogany for the storefront. Mahogany for a storefront, as you can see, we're actually proposing 1-inch insulated glass. The existing storefront obviously is dated, it's not energy efficient, and for us to retrofit the glazing to the existing storefront may be a bit challenging. So in order for us to actually accommodate this glazing, we would have to make the mullions thicker.
And what was the other one? Just, you don't have to put it,
Just
just
a
tell me.
representation if you were to paint it. Obviously, we're going to maintain the same hunter green color that's for the storefront, but this is just painted, essentially.
So it's the
Disregard
same thing.
color, but yes, it's just painted finish for mahogany.
And so all the wood is painted that green, that,
Correct, the hunter green. Keep in mind that Cheever's side, sorry, the Kane side is aluminum cladding in existing wood, but the wood is in a very bad condition. It's not worth salvaging at all. It's, if you could see in these photos, this is the existing corner mullion for the Kane side. It's corroded.
so you're replacing that with,
Wood, mahogany.
Yeah, with this sample that we have here.
Also, it's worth, again, emphasizing that the brick base for the storefront of the Kane side is not historic. We're actually restoring it back to the 1940s tax photo, which is wood paneling. It's hard to read here, but the wood paneling base.
Are there any other questions? All right. Take public testimony. Kelly Carroll?
Should I take these down?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Kelly Carroll, Historic Districts Council. Historic storefronts within modest buildings are a defining feature of the Cobble Hill Historic District, and HDC applauds the return of historic elements like wooden paneled bulkheads to these storefronts. In that vein, the committee found it regrettable that the second recessed entry will be eliminated, but after hearing your presentation, we understand the necessity since it's a residential conversion. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? All right. Are there any other questions? All right, we can close the hearing. Second? Okay. Okay, all right. All right, any concerns about this, Michael? Yes.
Just one comment, I guess. I think this is a reasonable approach. These storefronts were actually relatively fragile originally, the way the joinery is put together, and I think their approach is reasonable. I would just ask that if the doors are not restorable, and you really should know by now whether they are or not, there isn't going to be any hidden rot. You may have to redo some of the joinery, but I would ask that the applicant work with staff to replicate it in kind.
Okay, we can ask them to do that. All right, any other comments? Okay, good. We'll bring this back when we have a full quorum. Thank you.